Okay, if you're looking for inspiration, but you also want some practical tips and strategies to help keep your health and fitness in check amidst a busy lifestyle, look no further. This is the episode for you. Cristin is a mom, an amateur skateboarder, and she's currently active duty military where she serves as a construction supervisor for the U.S. Army. She's always on the move, but she still makes time to prioritize her health and her fitness. Thanks for being here, Cristin, and thank you for your service too.
Thank you, Jonathan Blakely. I'm happy to be here.
So where in the world are you now and where are you going next?
So I'm based out of Joint Base Lewis McChord, which is near Tacoma, Washington, near Seattle. So I live in the Pacific Northwest currently. And my next set of travel is going to take me to Guam. So I've never been to that region of the world, so I'm pretty excited.
What does a day-to-day, a day look like in your life with the job that you have?
Well, when I'm home, so to speak, I'm doing a lot of administrative work, so nothing fancy, computers and emails, things of that nature. But when I'm out on the go traveling, we're, taking a look at potential construction projects and working with stakeholders and people that are asking for construction. So a lot of meeting and greeting.
Mm-hmm. Well, you actually started working with us back in 2020 and you were living in Kuwait at the time, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yes, I had just come from Afghanistan and I got transferred to Kuwait to help the Army move out of Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. And I needed a change because my health was not where I wanted it to be. Neither was my fitness.
Yeah, well, kind of tell us what was going on at that time and what made you decide to reach out for coaching.
Well, my whole life I've always been active, but I didn't have the nutrition and training locked in. I lived from one magazine article to the next, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And I was also always very endurance based. So my cardio, so to speak, was always good, but I was just lacking the strength and conditioning aspect. And I had come from a very demanding job when I was stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado, where I'd managed to keep my weight under control and my fitness generally pretty good. But once I moved to Washington, COVID hit, I completely lost motivation and I was tired of bouncing around from magazine to magazine. And I thought, you know what? If I'm going to make a change, I should really hire a coach. I had that aha moment of, I can't do it on my own. I keep telling myself that I can do it, but I need help. And that's when I found you guys.
I think when you and I were working together on your training, you were actually training for the Army Combat Fitness Test as well.
Yes, actually, because that was new.
Yeah, and I always thought it was strange that they gave you the guys the facility to train, but there was no instruction of what you guys individually needed to do while you're there training. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's okay, these are the things that you need to do for the test.
Yeah,
good luck.
Go train yourself to do these. No, I really enjoyed working with you during that time. Number one, you were the most consistent client I had. It was anything I put out there, you're done. And it was just cool. You had different, we were outside on the track. We were just doing, I was able to research the test and we were doing different types of exercises. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, because prior to meeting you guys, I had never done this style, the blended CrossFit with bodybuilding, but intelligent programming. Mm-hmm. So it really changed my outlook. I joked with Jonathan a few months back when I came back to you guys after a break. I said, Blakely's my first love when it comes to programming. I try to leave and go to somewhere else and I can't do it. I need digital barbell programming.
I love hearing that. Thank you.
And I was lucky enough to get to coach you on your nutrition for a while. Did you have any kind of expectations about what nutrition coaching was going to be like and what was it like versus that?
It's funny you say that because I was so obviously Blakely learned from me. Training isn't the problem. I will exercise all day, every day. But my nutrition was just lacking and I had no self-control, and I thought, he'll give me a meal plan for a month and that's going to fix all my problems. I had no understanding that it's all about habits and routine and consistency. And it takes time.
Yeah.
And you probably through that experience kind of came up with your own meal plan that serves your own life, I would imagine.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, once you learn all of the habits and what works for you over time, you can really just build your own meal plan. It's like the whole teach a man to fish analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now Haley is your coach. And one of the things she's always bragging about you is something we already know about how consistent you are, which if we go back to the beginning of this episode, we talked about how crazy your lifestyle is and all the responsibilities that you have. So I think a lot of people are like, well, yeah, of course she's consistent. Like, this is what she likes to do. It's easy for her, but that's not really the case. What do you do on a day-to-day basis with all this stuff going on to stay on track with the consistency in your training and your nutrition?
Yeah. So, once I started working with Haley after coming off of my last Europe trip, when I kind of was just doing it on my own for a while, and she helped me lock in the very basics, the steps, the water, the fiber, the protein goals, all these things. It's really a matter of once you can lock in those habits, you fall back on them and you try to do most of them correctly most of the time, and eventually mathematics takes over and it wins, really, if you just keep doing. The problem is that in the past I used to give up because I was chasing perfection, but perfection's not real life, and I am way too busy to punish myself because I slipped up here and there.
Yeah,
that's super powerful what you said, and it's probably the main thing that holds people back is going into something with that perfectionist mindset, and then when they fail to live up to it, they just kind of give up. But I don't think that you became the person who no longer looks for that expectation like all at once. That's been a kind of a gradual process, right?
It really has. I mean, I didn't even realize until working with you back in 2020 that I had such an unhealthy relationship with food. I spent years grinding through these little programs where I'm like, oh, I can do 1,200 calories for 8 weeks straight, and I can fast for the first 12 hours of the day, and all these crazy things that just left me feeling miserable. But because I was punishing myself and feeling hardcore, I thought I was, accomplishing something. And in the end, I accomplished nothing, because anyone can be hardcore for 30, 60, 90 days. But if you can't do it until you're 80 years old, what's the point?
Right. Oh,
so
that's very true.
It took a lot of trial and error and a lot of coming to terms with, even things like seeing fluctuations on the scale. Let it be. Let it ride. Stop panicking. Going out to eat, I slipped up, ate too much of the bread and the dessert. Okay, the next morning, just do what I'm supposed to do again. Don't say, oh, well, now I'm going to have all the pancakes and I'm not going to work out and I'm going to eat the tub of ice cream because I messed up last night.
Yeah, I think you and I have had some conversations even since we stopped working together just about the mindset shift in you with that, where it's really like the art of getting back on track as quickly as possible.
It really is. I know I've heard it from you, and I heard it from Jeremy Scott Fitness before too, where you just make the next right decision. Even if it's something small, it's the small things that add up. It really is. Like, even when I'm at the airport, I'm the weirdo chugging the water and I put a podcast on or FaceTime or whatever, and I get my steps in the airport. And I've done it in small airports where I look like a creep just pacing back and forth, because I know I'm going to sit on a plane for the next X amount of hours. I'm going to arrive late at night. I'm going to be tired. This is my chance to get my steps.
Yeah.
Whereas most people think, oh, it's not worth the effort, or I look stupid. Don't worry about all that.
Yeah.
One thing Blakely's always bringing up is because she hears me doing people's nutrition check-ins a lot and constantly talking to people about how their routine is busy, but separating the idea that okay, this is a busy season of my life, and then I'm going to get on track to recognizing my life is busy. This is my normal. I have to find a way to make some kind of routine stick in the midst of busy. So with all the trips that you have to go on and times that you're out of town, and I remember when you and Blakely were working together, it was okay, I'm going to be in this place at this time, this place at this time. Here's what I'm going to have available. How do you stay committed to, thinking ahead, and why does it matter to you that you do the things that have got you to this point, and why do you keep doing them? Why do you take all that preparation, and how do you do that? That's a big question.
Well, I have to say, I'll answer the one first because the way I feel now at 37 going on 38 years old, I am the strongest and fittest I've ever been, while still having energy for my hobbies, energy for my kids, energy for my job. and still being able to live. I don't live in this constant, like, or many years ago, I was like, oh, I can only have 1,200 calories in a salad and one chicken breast, and it has to be dry, and I just drink a Diet Coke. Like, I can enjoy a beer. I can enjoy a steak dinner. I can enjoy dessert here and there. So being able to live and feel good and perform well is what keeps me going. But what got me started was Haley really worked with me on making things simple, in the sense that you don't need a bunch of variety. I think variety kills people's consistency because
Amen.
It's overwhelming.
Yes.
It takes a lot of energy. It's draining. So I pretty much came to the point where I eat almost exactly the same breakfast and lunch to allow myself that wiggle room at dinner. And I found things that I can use on the go, like Ostrom sticks, Fairlife Core or Fairlife Elite Core, things of that nature. So you have to find what works for you and fits in your schedule, that you're willing to get ahead of time to throw in your suitcase or throw in the car and help you out.
And I think that last thing you just said is important. You just said get ahead of time. How important is planning in you staying successful?
You know what? Every time you think that you're going to have the energy to deal with it later, you are going to be sorely disappointed and mistaken, and you're going to end up, face first in McDonald's cheeseburger and fries. Just taking that extra couple hours to plan ahead to get that jerky and protein shake and dried fruit or whatever it is that your jam is, it will save you so much time and energy on the back end. I mean, without planning, it all falls apart. You have to try to stick to it.
Yeah, I hope people hear that, because you haven't been as successful as you've been just by winging it, either on the training side or the nutrition side.
There has been no winging. I mean, I do slip up occasionally. Sometimes I'm just tired or whatever. And sometimes I'm on so many back-to-back trips that there are small mistakes made for sure. But I stick to the plan as much as possible, and I don't throw everything away because I had one bad meal or I forgot to pack something,
Speaking of trips, so you're about to take off to Guam. How long will you be there, and what will your training and everything look like when you're there?
Well, I'm fortunate to be able to stay in a nice hotel. So it's a 17-hour time difference from where I'm at. So I expect extreme jet lag.
Yeah.
So Haley and I talked, and we're going to try to just stick to a basic weightlifting routine just to keep it going, but nothing extremely strenuous, because I'm already going to be focused on work and very tired. And but I will try to take advantage that Guam is basically an island, and I'll be by the beach, so I can try to get some low risk, low impact beach activity too, because movement is medicine. So
yes.
You can skate. Can you surf too?
I cannot, but that's my next goal in the near future. I would love to.
I love it.
Nice.
Okay, so let's say you could rewind time and it's like 2019, early 2020, and somebody else is in the position now where you were then. What do you say to that person who is reading magazines, looking for the next best thing, afraid to invest in a coach, and doesn't really know where to start? What should they do?
Well, the first thing, I would encourage them to take the money they're spending on magazines and supplements, because if you're reading magazines, it's guaranteed you're taking supplements, and take that money and say, invest in coaching for 1 month. Learn the habits that work for your lifestyle so that you can try to do this the rest of your life and have fun and feel good and not be miserable. And sometimes you have to have that hard conversation, which is, look, if you could do it on your own, you would have done it already. You can't, so you need to reach out to an expert.
That's a good point. It's like somebody who goes every year, trying to do their taxes on their own, and they just keep putting it off and putting it off. It's like, all right, you've proven to yourself you are not going to do this on your own. It's time to hire an accountant.
Yes.
Well, this has been awesome. I think people are going to be really inspired by your success amongst a busy lifestyle, and I hope they come away with some tips too. Can people reach out to you if they want some even more detailed information on how you stay on track?
Absolutely. Hit me up on Instagram. That's probably the most consistent way to get a hold of me, and I'll give anyone some tips. So the biggest takeaway is stop chasing perfection, chase consistency, and accept that you will make mistakes. But if you keep making the next best decision, it'll work out. And you guys know Matt McLeod, right? so he puts out really good content. He had a post, I think it was yesterday, about instead of seeing fitness and health and stuff as an on and off switch, see it as a dial.
Yep.
So what can you do today? You know, whatever, the baby woke you up in the middle of the night and you had an appointment and whatever happened, can you still get your steps? Can you walk around in the backyard? Can you at least throw in some chicken breast in your salad and, you know, have some fruit instead of just reaching straight for the cheeseburger or whatever it is? Try to, you know, you have to do what you can where you are with what you have and try to give yourself grace when you mess up.
I love that.
Yeah.
If you can master that, there's no limit to your potential, really.
And also train hard.
Another missing piece for a lot of people. They're exercising, but they're not training hard.
Actually, that's a good point. Before I met you guys, I didn't understand what training hard was. I either trained too light or I overtrained. I didn't have that. So that actually was a game changer for my fitness. I spent so many years spinning my wheels because I just didn't have the proper training plan in place.
I think that's interesting for people to hear you say that, because if they know you're in the Army, they think like, oh, well, she's in the Army. She's, you know, going to be doing all the push-ups and train, you know, they have a certain training methodology that she's going to be adopting there. But so you're really given nothing there, right? It's just.
Yeah. I mean, they give you like the baseline, like you said, Army methodology. And it has evolved over time, and it's with the adopting the ACFT, things are changing in the right direction.
Okay.
But for many years, you know, the Army was all about push-ups, sit-ups, and running. And that's what I spent most of my entire career doing, which it's too much endurance-based and not enough strength and conditioning-based.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You still do those things with us, but you do a whole lot more in addition to that.
Yes. Very true.
Did you already get your workout in today?
No, I'm going to have to do it in the evening.
All right. We'll hold you to that.
Yes. It's deadlift day. I won't miss it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Everybody's favorite. All right. Well, this has been fantastic. Thanks again for your support, Cristin, and thank you guys all for tuning in. We'll catch you next episode.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Bye.